Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome the public and the commissioners to the September 2018 Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee meeting. To start our order of business, I'd like to ask Commissioner Robert Stevens if he would approve the minutes from last month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I read the minutes earlier today, and I think they're in order, and I make a motion that we approve them as written.
Thank you. There's a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Proper second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next order of business, commissioners, on your agenda, you'll see that we have 3 vacancies that we need to fill on the Codes Enforcement Adjustments and Appeals Board. There were 3 applicants that have had, it says 3.
We have 3 now.
We have 3 now. I think
How many vacancies?
there are, I think there's 2 vacancies, but there's 3, I'm
3
sorry.
applications.
Yeah, there's 3 applications. 2 vacancies, 3 applications that came in. Kay Jernigan, James Aberwater, and Angela Ford. Is Jernigan in the audience? We're going to give each one of you about 2 minutes just to kind of tell us about yourselves if you'd like. You don't have to take that full 2 minutes. Thank you for applying. If you'd like to introduce yourself and maybe say a few things about yourself.
Stand.
You can stand, that's fine. Thank you.
My name is Kay Jernigan. I've already been on the appeals board for the last 3 years. I'm a certified fire inspector since 1995. I did do some electrical work many years ago with S&W, and then I still work for Kenny Jones at Jones Electric doing his paperwork now, but I did real electrical work back then. I've enjoyed serving on the board. I like being able to help the citizens of Rutherford County anytime I can, and I would just appreciate being back on the board again, if that's possible.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Jernigan from the committee? Commissioner Cush?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Really for this committee. How often do they have to be? Is this every year they have to be reappointed or appointed?
No, I think
Or
it's,
do you know?
it's
every
3.
3 years?
It is 3. I couldn't remember if it was 2 or 3. So it's every 3, and then this was you're currently serving now.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Aberwater, is he in the audience?
I
don't see
I
him.
do not see Jim.
He also applied. Angela Ford, would you like to introduce yourself and
Yes.
share with the committee?
Hi, my name is Angela Ford, and I'm just an upright, hardworking citizen that's trying to give back to my county, trying to find the spot where I can fit and help. I'm a team player and I follow rules. That's it.
Short and sweet, right? Perfect. Any questions for Ms. Ford from the committee?
Motion to end applications.
There's proper motion from Commissioner Harris to cease nominations at the 3 applications and move forward with 2 of those. Is there a proper second? Second from Commissioner Reed. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So what we will do then is we will accept these 3 applications. We will vote on 2 of those. Ms. Shelton, if you wouldn't mind calling the roll, each commissioner will get a chance to vote for 2. That's a lot of writing, sorry, Becky.
Commissioner Harris,
Tell the 2 I'll vote for.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jernigan and Ms. Ford.
Commissioner Cush,
Jernigan and Aberwater.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Jernigan and Ford.
Commissioner Reed,
Jernigan, Aberwater.
Commissioner Stevens,
Aberwater and Ford.
Commissioner Rather,
Jernigan and Ford.
Commissioner Turner.
Jernigan and Aberwater.
Well, I have 6 for Jernigan and 4 for Ford and 4 for Aberwater.
We'll get a time. Okay. So
So
we need to-
typically, Ms. Jernigan would be recommended, and then we would have another vote between
Between
Ford
those 2,
and
that's what we'll
Aberwater.
do. So Ms. Jernigan will move forward. Thank you. Congratulations. So you'll be approved by the commission hopefully Thursday night at 6 o'clock here in the courthouse. Now, the next order from what Ms. Shelton was just sharing was we did have a tie between Ford and Aberwater. So what we're going to do now is try to break that tie and just vote for one of those candidates or one of those applications, Aberwater or Ford. Ms. Shelton, will you read the roll, please?
Commissioner Harris,
Ford.
Commissioner Cush,
Aberwater.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Ford.
Commissioner Reed,
Aberwater.
Commissioner Stevens,
Ford.
Commissioner Rather,
Ford.
Commissioner Turner.
Haverwater.
It's going to be Ford with 4 and Overwater with 3.
Well, congratulations, Ms. Ford. The same applies to you, and thank you, Mr. Everwater, for applying. So Thursday night at 6 o'clock, we'll be having our monthly commission meeting here if you'd like to come.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for applying. We very much appreciate your interest in serving the public. Next, we need to fill an alternate vacancy on the beer board to replace Leslie Smith Jr. So this term expires in 2 years. We did have 3 applicants for that, as we only need to fill 1 spot. But on your iPad, you'll see Renee Curtis, Angela Ford, and Joanna Medlin. Ms. Curtis, are you in the audience?
I am.
Hello.
Hi.
Would you like to stand up and introduce yourself
Sure,
to the
yes.
committee again?
Congratulations to y'all being on the steering committee.
Thank you.
New faces for the last time I was here. My name is Renee Curtis. I'm from Christiana. I do not currently serve on any boards, but I am trying to get back involved and get into the government and into helping the community. I am a very good implementer. I know how to implement policies and procedures, state, local, or federal level. It doesn't matter to me. If it's the law, it's the law, and I don't read it but one way. So, any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Curtis? Thank you.
You applied last month.
I did.
When we had a vacancy on the
Yeah,
beer board.
beer board, correct.
And I'm doing the beer board and also the BZA. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Curtis? Thank you. Ms. Ford,
Yes.
you're back again.
Yes, I am. I would be happy to serve as an alternate on the beer board also. I'd be happy to do that. I'm available. Same thing, just looking to serve.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Ford? Ms. Medlin, are you in the audience?
Yes.
Please.
Johnny Medlin. I was born and raised here. I want to give back to the community. I was a police officer here 23 years, and I do a lot of volunteer work, things. At present, I'm retired, so I appreciate you both.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Medlin? Is there a motion from the committee?
Cease nominations.
Proper motion from Commissioner Cush and move forward with selecting from those 3. Commissioner Cush, is that part of your
Yes, sir.
motion? Is there a proper second from Mr. Rather? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll move forward with voting on one of these 3 applicants. Michelle, when you get a chance, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Harris,
Medlin,
Commissioner Cush,
Medlin.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Medlin.
Commissioner Reed,
Medlin.
Commissioner Stevens,
Curtis.
Commissioner Rather,
Medlin.
Commissioner Turner.
Curtis.
Ms. Medlin with 5, Curtis with 2.
Perfect. Well, congratulations, Ms. Medlin.
Thank you very
We'll be
much.
meeting this Thursday night, 6 o'clock here in the courthouse to approve that nomination. We'll move it forward through the committee process. But thank you to everyone
Thank you.
for submitting your application. We appreciate it. Steering now, we need to fill a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals to replace Mr. Rather. Obviously, he is here now serving with us on the steering committee. This term will expire in October of 2021. I believe there's 2 applicants that you'll find on your iPad. And it's Leslie Smith Jr. and Renee Curtis are 2 applicants that submitted. Ms. Curtis, would you like to say anything again? You don't have to.
Sure,
but-
I'll be glad to. I put my application originally last time, and there was, I think, 4 of us that was applying for the same position. As a respect from a neighbor, I withdrew my application, and that is the only reason I didn't go forward with it last time. He was a family friend, and I had no idea that he was done, so that's why I didn't. But if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer.
Any questions?
one.
Commissioner Harris?
do you have a background in building
In building,
or any
I'm not a
construction?
contractor. No, I'm a realtor. We have our own companies. My husband and myself, Curtis and Company Property Solutions. We do mostly property management.
Okay.
Is what we do. But I've been in the industry since I got my license in 2001.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions for Ms. Curtis? Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie Smith Jr., right in the front.
My name's Leslie Smith Jr. I'm a 30-year resident of Rutherford County. I presently serve on the PBA, the Public Building Authority. We just finished building the new Justice Center, and we're getting ready to start the old Justice Center, the renovation of it. Retired from Heritage Farms Dairy as a plant engineer, and prior to that, I retired from the Navy in various engineering divisions there. And I'm looking forward to helping Rutherford County grow and watching that growth, and of course in accordance with the zoning ordinances themselves. So I'm just looking forward to serve.
Thank you.
Any questions? You're on the PBA, and which other, are you on another board too?
The beer board.
Your board.
Okay.
Any-
And do you live out in like a rural area, or are you in the city?
No, I'm in Blackwood community.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Smith? Take a motion from the committee.
I'll make a motion that we nominate both candidates and select one.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Proper second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Harris. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Shelton, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Harris,
Curtis.
Commissioner Kush.
Curtis.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Curtis.
Commissioner Reed,
Smith.
Commissioner Stevens.
Curtis.
Commissioner Rather,
Curtis.
Commissioner Turner.
Curtis.
6-1.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Curtis, congratulations. We'll meet Thursday night at 6 o'clock here at the courthouse for the commissioning. And thank you, Ms. Smith, for also applying. Appreciate it. Now, Steering, we need to move on to fill 2 vacancies on the audit committee, both a citizen and a CPA. You'll see on your iPad that there are 2 applicants, Mr. William Dix Jr. and also Mr. Robert Coggin. Mr. Dix in the audience. Would you like to introduce yourself and speak?
I'm William Dix, certified public accountant for 18 years and just looking to give back to the community.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dix? Mr. Coggin?
Robert Coggin, work with NXC. Also served on the Mississippi Christian School finance board. Also served as chair of the finance committee, oversees the audit. And I'm just reapplying for the audit committee. This is the portion which I've just previously served there for 4 years. Just want to serve again.
Sure. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Coggin from the committee? Is there a proper motion from the committee?
I move nomination cease.
Proper nomination or proper motion from Commissioner Reeves or second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rather. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Shelton, would you please call the roll for these 2? I think it's pretty easy. Yeah, it's just by acclamation, I guess.
By acclamation.
Yeah, all in favor of moving these forward by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Steering also needs to fill 3 commissioner vacancies on the insurance committee. And you'll find on your iPad that those 3 applications are listed: Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Allen. Commissioner McAdoo serves with us. Commissioner Phillips is here. Commissioner Phillips, would you like to say anything, or are you comfortable? This is not Commissioner Phillips' first rodeo, as you can tell. Is there a proper nomination or motion from the committee?
Motion to cease.
Motion to cease from Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We need to make a motion again to move them through for acclamation, or did that work right there?
I think your motion was to recommend these 3 applicants. And
Move them forward to the commission. Perfect. Works for me. Thank you. We need to fill a commissioner vacancy on community care, and you will find on your iPad the Commissioner Cook has submitted an application. She's here in the audience if you have any questions for her. Is there a motion from the committee?
I move we select Commissioner Cook and select her by acclamation.
Thank you, Commissioner Reeves. Is there a second?
Second.
Proper second. Any discussion?
That is a reappointment, by the way.
Yes, sir. That is a reappointment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cook.
Thank you.
Steering would like to announce 2 commissioner vacancies on the audit committee. Steering needs to announce a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Steering needs to announce there's a commissioner vacancy on the Records Commission. Steering needs to announce 2 vacancies on the Beer Board to replace Leslie Smith and Keith Bratcher. Then new steering committee members. And on item number 11 on your agenda, there is a litigation list that the county attorney provides to us, just as something that we had asked a year or so ago, that they provide that information to update us on whether that list is growing or shrinking. Thankfully, it's been going the right direction with it shrinking, but it is available on your iPad, and any commissioner also has access to that too. They can look at that, but it is provided for you just for information purposes only. We need to move on now to item 12 on our agenda, and that's Rule 10 in the Commissioner Handbook, the reading the conflict of interest statement. Mayor Ketron, is there anything you'd like to speak to related to that, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make a recommendation on behalf of the commission. I think we implemented that back, Alan, Jeff, back
16.
probably mid-90s, I think, when we implemented that and created where you had to stand up as a commissioner or read the conflict of interest, which I thought this would be a better way for the commissioners. Put it in, we have 9 rules in the Commissioner Handbook that was handed out to you. You make this Rule 10 in the Commissioner's Handbook, and then if there is a conflict of interest, as you're voting, you would just stand up and say, I declare Rule 10. And then everybody knows what those rules are, and you sit back down. Sometimes it's difficult for some people to actually stand there and read it, saves time, et cetera. So just make it simpler for the commissioner and say, I declare Rule 10. And go on your way.
Perfect.
We're not changing the conflict of interest wording or anything else. It's just, I declare Rule 10.
And that's a good bit of information for the public to know. No, that's changing. We're just trying to help speed
Nothing's
up
changing.
that process. So,
We do that in the Senate, we do it in the House.
Okay.
Ours, Rule 13, the House of Representatives does it, I've got a different rule in the House, but just make that offer to.
Thank you. Any questions or comments or discussion points around that?
We made a change in 2016, didn't we, as far as it dealt
That is
with the
correct.
employees, as
Yeah,
far as
I talked with the
education?
county attorney, so what was handed out to the new commissioners this week, this past week, that is the current language, so there's no change.
So that
You would just make that a Rule 10, because it's not a rule at this point.
I knew that was in the old handbook.
It's your policy, but not a rule. So you just make a Rule 10, declare Rule 10 when there is a conflict that may arise. It's not used that often anymore the way that it used to be, but yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other questions? I'll wait on a motion from the committee.
I move we make this change to the handbook.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Harris? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
While we're on the topic of the handbook, can we get the handbook put on the county website so that the public can look at it?
Well, that's an excellent idea. Yeah.
Because I've got an old one, I think mine's from 4 or 8 years ago, and we've made a few changes.
Yeah, that's an
I
excellent
think
idea.
it would be good for
You know.
everybody out there in the world to see what our rules are.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Can you just send an email out when that gets done to commissioners?
Well, that'd be helpful. Get OIT to put that up.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thanks, Commissioner Stevens. Agenda item 13, committee. It's the recommended committee recommendations for 2018-2019. This is an updated one. If you had not seen it, you might want to review it real quick. I sent an updated one really late this afternoon around 2:30 or 3 o'clock. I want to thank Vicki publicly because she had to deal with my emails coming back and forth to her. Appreciate your patience on this too. I reached out to several of you, letting you know that I was sending it out. It was quite the journey, but I think we're at the tail end of that, I hope. But thank you for your patience with me on working on this. Are there any questions on that, or is there any motion from the committee to move this forward to the full commission on Thursday?
I would be glad to make a motion to accept this latest version and continue the motion to move on to full commission.
Thank you, Commissioner
acceptance.
Fish. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Commissioner Reed?
Commissioner Phillips has a question.
Oh, yes, Commissioner Phillips, I'm sorry.
looking at the old one, Brad, I'm sorry, and what are the changes?
On the purchasing committee, Commissioner Gooch's name is on there now, and I believe that Commissioner Sereno's name was on there. And I think, Commissioner Phillips, that was the last change, was a very minor change. So there was 7 commissioners that were listed on there. There's now 6, and the chair is 7. So the 6 commissioners that are being recommended to move forward for that were Gooch, Cook, Gammon, Virgil Gammon, Paul Johnson, Joe Frank Jernigan, and Alan McAdoo.
You're supposed to be a budget member on.
Paul Johnson. I'm sorry. Yeah, Paul Johnson's on there. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, it says B on here, so I was looking down to make sure. Yeah, it's on there. So the budget, recommended budget was Paul Johnson from that committee. And that was the only change, was moving Gooch to Sorrento. Any other questions or discussions around that? All in favor to move this forward, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then Mayor Ketron had asked for agenda item 14, just quick, well, I say quick, shouldn't say quick. Wanted to have a conversation and an update on the deputy to the mayor position. So, Mayor Ketron, if you'll come up here and join us, please.
All right. Gentlemen, after many hours of interviews, phone calls, and lots of thinking about who could best work as my deputy and carry out the agenda and work with you, I've gone over the gamut for the last 45 days, I guess. Haven't been 45 quite yet, but
Feels like it probably.
yeah, just last week felt like 45. But I'm here to ask for your recommendation. I went ahead and Vicky sealed those,
Okay.
but I went ahead and opened them for you. Keep everybody from making a lot of noise. So
Your names
here,
are on
I'll just
there.
pass them on down. It's my recommendation to the steering committee to go to the full commission as to the name of the person I would like to have as my deputy to the mayor.
Here, Brad.
Oh, yeah, I just grabbed a copy. One for Becky. Yeah, thank you. And just so the public knows, this is the first time that we had seen any of this too. The mayor asked to be on the agenda to make sure that we were following the proper process there.
I think that's probably the first time you've done it like this, because previously the deputy of the mayor was chosen in a different form. So based on the action that you all took at the June meeting, I believe, was asked, the vote was to be up or down and come before the steering committee. So I would assume this is the proper
It is.
procedure.
It is.
And then go on to full commission Thursday night.
Yeah. Any,
Maybe a misunderstanding or not remembering correctly, but I thought we were going to interview the person and ask about their background and so forth before we made a recommendation. That was my understanding.
well, I thought we were doing that at the commission meeting. I think, and I could be misremembering, I thought that was part of the conversation, was the full commission did that. Commissioner Allen, do you, or Phillips, or am I off on that understanding? Because we all need to be lined up.
You're asking my opinion. What I remember is that it's the mayor's position to hire for, and he submits a name just like he did tonight, and we approve it or don't. That's what
I went back and listened to the tape, and that was my understanding of I watched it twice, and that was the way I understood it, that because Mayor Burgess asked the question, what are you actually wanting tonight? And I think it was confirmed by Commissioner Phillips, it's either up or down. If you don't like this person, then I go back to the drawing board and look for someone else. If I'm wrong, just let me know.
Is that how you,
I guess I just envisioned like interviewing the person and asking questions, and maybe that should have been made
yeah.
more clear at the time, but
Because I think part of the conversation I remember centered around the mayor bringing it forward, but then commissioners being able to ask questions if they wanted at the commission meeting. And like I said, I could be misremembering that because everything you had done up to this point was how I remembered it. I thought when we got to the commission, that's where commissioners could ask questions if they wanted, because I think part of the original intent, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Stevens, was to get full buy-in from the commission, like you just said, Mayor Ketron, and make sure that we're on the same page and commissioners have a chance to ask those questions before they cast their vote, whether it was steering or commission. I think at this point it's probably going to be in front of the commission, but are there any questions or conversation points around that before we move forward? I want to make sure it's a big decision. I mean, we're going to be working really close with obviously Mayor Ketron, but also the deputy mayor is probably going to be just as involved, or at least I hope, with all of the committees as the mayor will be. Any questions or concerns or comments before we move forward on a vote?
A motion to move forward.
Proper motion from Commissioner Harris. Is there a proper second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rather. Any discussion?
I do want to make, I wasn't here, I'm not a new guy. But believe it or not, I was watching it on TV, and my understanding was what Mayor Ketron's was, and Commissioner Phillips, that this is...
Oh, sure. I think we have to read it.
This is someone that the mayor has to choose and trust and vet. It's his deputy.
Right.
And so that's kind of the way I understood it, that it was his decision to make. I think the commission wanted to at least ask some questions, but still the mayor's decision to make.
And I was I just told the mayor I was going to read his letter just to have it as public record so the public could know it.
I was going to suggest that.
Dear Chairman Turner and members, after careful and thorough search and interview process, I, Mayor Bill Ketron, have decided upon and submitting the name of Mr. Steve Sandlin to be my deputy to the mayor. Mr. Sandlin possesses the skill set to fill this position with over 25 years of service to Rutherford County Commission. I feel he will be an added asset to our team, and I ask for your confirmation. Respectfully submitted, Mayor Bill Ketron. So Commissioner Sandlin is, I think some of us serve with him, brings a lot of experience, and obviously the mayor values what he brings to the table after a lot of conversations. So wanted to read that to make sure that was part of the public record and the public knew the name. Any other discussion before we move forward to a vote?
What is his background other than, I know he's got experience on the commission, but like what's his background other than serving on the commission? His educational background? I want to know a lot more about somebody before we start paying them $80,000 plus benefits.
Sure. When I believe he and I came on the county commission in 1990 together. I think he was the youngest county commissioner at that time to have ever served. He was working for the city of Murfreesboro, I believe, and codes, signed ordinance, and et cetera. Then he went to work for Petrie and Company, which was a company that I used to do business with him when I had my convenience store down in Smyrna, my truck stop. He worked for them. He's a graduate of tissue. His wife, they live in the Blackman community. They've got 2 kids, one starting to the school at Monroe. No, I think it's, may not be Monroe, starting school this year, junior college. And since that time, since he retired from the county commission, he's been working quality control at Nissan for the last, I don't know how many years. But I think he served on just about every commission. I served with him 8 years. I think he's been 25 years maybe. Hasn't been there as long as you, Al, but close.
24 years.
Yeah, and that was part of my process of evaluating. I talked to a gentleman out in New Mexico who would like to come back here. He's from Murfreesboro and works for an oil company out there, but he's got a doctoral degree in political science. And a lot of people I interviewed, but you know, for somebody to come in as fast as this county's growing, somebody that knows the makeup of the county as well as the structure of the county commission is what I kept weighing back and forth, all the good and negative aspects of every person that I interviewed. Interviewed a lot of good quality people, but I kept coming back to who can help me and the commission the best and the quickest to get us up and running and to where we have a lot of big things ahead of us that are coming at us fast. And so I kept coming back to somebody with local experience. This is why I made the decision I made.
Does he have any kind of management experience?
You'll have to ask him.
Any
Well,
other?
But Commissioner, what management experience do you think that he would need being my deputy?
Well, I guess my question is, well, how are you planning to use the person?
Well, based on the criteria that I believe that was set forth and I think it was like 3 or 4 pages of what the county commission voted on. I think he fills the majority of those skill sets.
Commissioner McAdoo,
No, I
if
have
you
no
raise your hand.
question. I have no problem with the person, but I still want everybody to be comfortable with this procedure. If we can hire this person and this person doesn't work out, who would be the person, a committee or commission or mayor, who would be the one to fire this person?
It would be the mayor.
choice.
Mayor recommendation back
It would be
to
the
us?
mayor.
The mayor makes all the personnel decisions.
Right.
But
The only thing we
I
have
thought
is,
this person that we're hiring was generated by the commission.
I think it's approved. The commission has the chance to interview and ask questions, but the mayor has the ultimate authority to make that decision and then also make the decision on termination. And then he would be responsible for bringing back a new candidate, which would go through the same process to the
Termination
committee.
will come back to this committee.
It would not come back to committee. The mayor would make that decision, but then a new nomination, if we got to that point, would come back to the committee. Once it leaves here, Commissioner McAdoo, I think after tonight, it moves to the full commission and the decision's made there, and then the process would start back over.
And that would be in consultation, I'm sure, with HR, because I'm not going to do anything until all of our bases are covered. I don't want to do anything that creates a lawsuit if I have to fire the person.
So the fact that we get to talk to this person in the commission is only to make us feel better and get to know the guy a little better. Is that true?
Yeah, I know you're not making it that simple, but it was really a big part of the challenge that the commission was having was we were wanting to make sure what is the real role of the deputy to the mayor? And is it somebody that's going to be at all of the committee meetings? Are they going to be at some of them? What does he assign responsibilities for? Because in the past, there wasn't so much clarity around that. And that's what led, I think it's fair to say, for the commissioners that were on at the time, that's what led to a lot of these conversations, Commissioner Rather, was that we weren't sure what the deputy mayor, what the job description looked like as far as what did the mayor ask that individual to do. And I think we ended up making the decision to move forward on the committee or the committee and then the commission itself needed to have a heavier hand in what was going on with those two positions because we already worked with the mayor as our chairman of the commission. The deputy mayor's his right-hand man, and we didn't have the same kind of relationship I think that the commission wanted to have with the deputy of the mayor that we had with the county executive. And that's what led to that. So we're not part of the firing or hiring process except for that extent of what you just referenced right there.
well, back in 2012, when we created this position, it was intended to be a way to lighten the mayor's load and to
Right.
send the person to the committee meetings and to the commission meetings so the mayor wouldn't have to do that anymore. But my understanding at the time was that we were going to begin to separate the commission from the mayor. And if you read through the job description, it says over and over again, liaison, 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 liaison. Well, it never came to be that way. And to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what all the last deputy to the mayor did. I don't think that he was used as effectively as he could have been. And I'm still not even convinced that we have to have the position or certainly to pay it as much as it is. But that's how it was intended to be used, was to be a liaison between the commission. And that's why we wanted to have a say on what the new person was going to look like.
May I
So-
speak?
Sure.
So, in
Sorry.
the original job description, it was that this person works at the pleasure of the mayor. And so where it was saying liaison, it was whatever duties that were assigned by the mayor. So say, for example, if the mayor was scheduled for 2 meetings at one time, this person would go in his or her stead. Also, they would go to community events, work on special projects. As far as Jeff Davidson, some of the things that he was involved in. It was a lot of the public safety aspect, worked on the COOP, which is the county's continuity of operations should natural disaster or something happen in the county. Being that his background was in the military, the Mayor Burgess tried to put him onto the areas that he had greater expertise, that maybe that wasn't the mayor's expertise. And so with the change in administration, I'm not sure exactly how Mayor Ketchum would choose to use them, but he would want to use this person in the place of the areas where they would have more expertise. So it would probably change up because it would change upon the vision of the mayor at that time. That's kind of how it was designed, was so that it could lighten the load of the mayor, but only on the projects that the mayor deemed that they wanted them to work on. So that was kind of how it was laid out and set up. And how it came to be that you're here tonight is because during that discussion for the deputy to the mayor position, was it worked at the pleasure. And if you remember, when it was established, we went through the process, and then much like they do with an appointed, I know that when I was appointed, that it was just that the name was brought forth to the full commission, the mayor's appointment, and then the committee determined yes or no, would you accept that appointment. So that's how I understood that it was going to be this evening, but I could be totally, and that you could ask questions like you have this evening about the candidate, but that was the way my understanding of it was.
I agree that former Commissioner Sandlin is a good person to be a liaison with the commission because he's got experience, knows how the committee process works. But if the mayor's going to be here at the meetings anyway, I'm trying to understand, as the chairman of the commission.
Well, what if I'm not here?
Well, that's the chairman's responsibility of the commission, is to be involved with the committees.
Well, yeah, totally understand that, but if there's dual obligations at the same time, I want to make sure, Commissioner, that person who's my deputy has the same philosophical opinion. I don't need him out going a different direction, speaking at the Rotary Club, saying something different that this commission represents. I feel like that this is the person who represents my philosophical background as well as those of the 21 commissioners that the public elected me to do, and I feel like that he'll be the best person to represent the county commission as well.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I feel, this is my personal opinion, that I feel that the mayor has presented this as we made this recommendation earlier on. And by the method that he's presented this, and I think the questions that have been answered here and more questions will be asked when this is presented to the commission, I wish to call for the question.
Call for the question. There's a second? Second. Is it? Yeah, that was what I was going to say. There is a motion on the floor. I'm going to have Becky read that back. So we're moving shelves here really quick, so I want to make sure we're on the same page. Becky, can you read back that motion?
Move forward with the recommendation.
Pretty simple. To move forward with Mayor Ketchum's recommendation, again, to Commissioner Rather's point, this will go to the full commission, and those other commissioners there that are not on steering will have the same opportunity that we have to ask questions of the candidate. So there's proper motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. Then under other business, there's a couple things that we need to touch on. Mayor Ketchum, I know he said he wanted to speak on something, so.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I do have one request tonight, and currently the travel policy that Rutherford County has is that if you stay overnight, then you're eligible for per diem, okay? If it's something travel during the day, you're not eligible. So I'm not asking to change the travel policy that is currently in our rules, but only for an exception, a one-time exception for this coming weekend to pay per diem for all members, and we'll pick up the expense. I had finance, Lisa got me the per diem rate, which would be $28 per member, as well as we will pay for our guest. We have, I think, mayor from Smyrna, city manager from Smyrna. We have the mayor from Laverne, city manager from Laverne. We have the mayor, city manager from Eagleville as well. We have representation from city of Murfreesboro. We have 18 out of 23 that will be attending, going to Sevierville for this composting solid waste for the visit on Saturday. So this is an exception. We've also, in light of transparency, I've invited the news media, got WGNS, Post, and Daily News Journal. They'll be traveling with us so they can report. We have 3 people from OIT. They're taking our drone. They're going to be working with the IT department in Sevierville. They're excited about seeing how we do a drone. They're going to do a 3D image for those like yourself, Commissioner, who can't attend. So you'll be able to come back and they'll be able to show that to members, and we'll put it on our website as well to show what type of operation that they've been doing. This is the composting facility, and it may not be the best thing, or it may be something that we want to use part of, or along with recycling, but it's something that we actually went up and, Alan, if you remember, I'm not sure if you went, but in probably 1993, we actually, when I was on the commission, it was me, Nancy Island, Stan Vaught, Steve Sandlin, others. We got MTSU to fly us up to Sevierville to look at this composting facility that they have. They're the nation's largest composting facility, who is composting 300 tons a day from Great Smoky Mountain National Park, Gatlinburg, Dollywood, Sevierville, and the Pigeon Forge. So it's our attempt, as every one of us, when you campaigned this past year, that was probably one of the number 1 or number 2 topics talked about in this community. So this is our attempt to go find out, let's go investigate this. So I think it's an exciting trip. I think everybody's looking forward to it. And if nothing else, we have gotten the attention of Republic. Republic, when I let this out, that we were going to be making this trip, they flew in their big person from Phoenix, their Senior Vice President of Government Relations, met with him 2 weeks ago. And he said, well, we're doing composting. I said, really? I didn't know you did that. He said, we're doing it in San Jose, California. I said, why didn't you ever share that with us? He said, well, you never asked. You know, but this, if nothing else, puts us into a position. If that landfill fills up in 6 years, we are in a position to negotiate with them, and we have some leverage. If they don't want to do it with us in a P3, public-private partnership, we go it alone. We do it for Rutherford County and tell everybody else to keep their trash out of our county. But this is a great opportunity. So tonight, I'm just asking for one exception to the travel policy that we pay per diem for everybody. We have a total of 43 people that will be on the bus with us.
What's the total for that, Mayor?
I'm sorry?
What's the total cost for that? With the
Total cost is $1,204.
$1,204.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
Motion from Commissioner
Make a
Harris.
motion
That's
to
$28
reimburse.
times 43 people.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion to make an exception and reimburse.
Motion, proper motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Proper second. Any discussion?
Can we pay people who aren't commissioners?
Pardon me?
Lisa, go ahead.
Yes, yes, we can. It's really commissioners and employees that were the problem.
Yeah, it's the other people like your mayor in Smyrna, that wouldn't be a problem at all, but I called the comptroller today just to make sure, and as long as we, because commissioners are actually, because you're paid, you'd be considered an employee, and we can't pay under current travel policy unless you spend the night. We can't reimburse.
Okay. Lisa?
And I just want to clarify, that's the maximum that we would pay per person. Because the vision is, we're doing all this one day, and we're going to put it on one credit card and then pay it.
Sure.
So it's
I'll
not
put it on my credit
more
card and
than
get reimbursed.
$28 per person today.
So if you want the bone-in big ribeye, you know, you're going to pay for it yourself, all right?
Commissioner Reed.
Or anything over that $28.
Might be him. Any other points of discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And then one more item under any other business. Several of the new commissioners weren't here. had Commissioner P had reached out to me, and someone had reached out to him. I'm not sure if it was in his district or not, but I called Lisa today. When we were making adjustments to the pay on previous committees, the Stormwater Committee was one that was not on the sheet that was presented to us. So I've just asked Lisa and her staff to do some digging around what we can do or not be able to do to make sure that we cover our due diligence. When we look into that, that was just something we didn't see last time. Did I miss anything, Lisa, there, just out of the request? So, yeah, I'm just asking the Finance Department to research that to make sure that when we covered all the other committees, we're not leaving a group out that we should be covering too.
Not being paid now.
Correct, they're not being paid now, and I think they meet annually, and then they also meet on special called meetings, but we want to do our due diligence with the finance director and her team being able to tell us what we might be able to do or we can't do. So I just wanted to bring that up as under new business. Is there any other business for the committee at this time, Commissioner Cush? Yes, sir.
Just to go back and readdress the applicant. Did I hear, and is it my understanding that we will have Mr. Sandlin at the next full commission meeting? And we
Thursday night.
Thursday night. And we will have a chance, much like any applicant, to interview him.
We will. I mean, we could suspend the rules and just ask that, Commissioner Sandlin, or former Commissioner Sandlin, come up there and the commission basically gets, some time to ask him questions until we're comfortable with the answers he's given. And then we'll move forward on a decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other business? I want to welcome the new commissioners really quick. I know a couple of them have to go, but looking forward to serving with you, and thank you for your time tonight. So we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.